Why, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Rubydung. Welcome to today's episode. As you can see, I'm over here at the main base, but everything's looking a tad different. That is because a new update was put out today, and there was a lot of changes. One that is immediately obvious to anyone with keen eyes. That is because in today's episode, we are talking about the newest update, 1.5. It's very exciting. A lot of cool stuff was put in this update. But for one, they made a new lighting engine change. In which case, I don't like it at all. That is because there is, with it, I'm actually going to go over to my settings and change it down to moody mode and give you a view of what everything looks like, and you will immediately notice why I don't like it. Everything is super patchy now. It looks like fast graphics, honestly. So this is... I do not like the look of this at all. So I have just decided to go into the thing and set it to bright. It removes all of those weird patches. Often whenever I'm doing caving and stuff, I'll just have the thing set to light mode anyways. So that way I actually can look around without having to light up too much. So honestly, I'm just setting it to light now at this point because it gets rid of all of the disgusting patches. And also, I don't have to flip-flop it too often. Plus, I also typically try to set the light mode whenever I'm working in the nether water base because it's really dark in the nether water base. So, but either way, there is some things to show you guys. I set up a little demonstration area. This isn't everything. This is just the first part of the update, in which case, if I go over here, you'll see in this chest that there is a little bundle of resources. In which case, it is 6 iron, 2 sticks, and 1 redstone ingot. Redstone torch. Redstone ingots aren't a thing. That's not a thing in this update. Don't worry. I just said redstone ingot out of nowhere. But I put this in here. We get activator rails. Boom. Let me pick that up. Now, activator rails, what this does is whenever something rides over an activator rail, when it has power, it will activate that item. Now, you might be wondering, what does that mean? Well, I'll be getting to that as we go through each of these items. Next up, a full thing of redstone. Anyone who can probably guess what this actually is, this is a redstone block. The same as how we have, like, iron blocks now. Also, I did something there that I do want to talk about very quickly. But this is now the new redstone block, and you can place it down, and it emits redstone signals. So that is a new item we have in the game, just an item that emits a redstone signal and can be placed on any surface. So we no longer need to use torches to do that. However, unlike torches, it cannot be turned on or off through a redstone signal. It is always actively a redstone signal. So if I place any redstone down next to it, you would see that this item would emit a redstone signal against it. But also, let me convert this back. You saw I did a little trick there, in which case I want to show it to you. There is now a new thing for crafting, which is really nice, in which case what I do is I can click down either my left or my right click. If I use my left click, then I will drag out this pile until the item is crafted. Or, I can hold down right-click and do the exact same. But there's a big difference here. In which case, let me show it to you. So this is what would happen if I right-click. This is what happens if I left-click. It divides the piles evenly, while a right-click will divide the piles by singular. So if I only want to craft one of a thing, I can make a very swift motion, craft that. Or if I want to craft a whole bunch of it, I can still do a swift motion. And I think that's really nice. So now I can do that, you can get the redstone block and place it back down. Next up, there is another new item, in which case the crafting recipe, quite similar to the dispenser, we now get the dropper. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth is a dropper? Well, same as how the actual dropper dispenser works, I can put an item in there, and put it down, and it will dispense the item. Now you might be thinking, why on earth is that useful? We already have dispensers in the game. Well, dispensers would put out different assortments of items depending on what was put in them. For example, if an arrow was put in, it would shoot out. But if I were to put an arrow in this, it would dispense out the arrow item, while dispenser will shoot the arrows. So we now can have one item that is strictly for putting out items in their raw form, and one item that is for putting items out in the used form. So that way, if we want fire arrows, put down water, things like that, that would go to the dispenser. While the dropper, this will be purely for handing items out. So that is another new thing. Then, over here, one that I am super excited for, this is going to be the hopper. In which case, what the hopper is, this is what it looks like, a bit of a weird texture, but what it can do is, if I decide to throw an item in here, boom, it's gone. It's down here. So we can now move items from one item to another, but that's not it. So if I get rid of this, I can also, boom, do it like that, in which case, that little snout that was at the bottom there, that's now gone. I can throw that in there, boom, it will automatically go into there. This is now a directional item, so I can move items according to there, in which case I can chain these besides each other. So if I want to move an item a very large distance, I don't have to use the ice water trick that I use all the way up there. I can use these things. But that's not all. If I were to get this item and throw it, oh, pick that up, get this item and throw it, you see, it's gone. It disappeared. Gone forever, except it's not. It's in here. The hopper will pick up any item that passes over it. Meaning, some of you might be able to already deduce what that means for this world, because I was talking about it last episode. I can now set up for all of my farms in this world a hopper to automatically pick up everything that that farm automatically produces, which is the sugarcane farm. I can now set up a timer for like the pumpkin and melon farm. I can probably set those up at the tree farms. So the eggs, I can set that up over there. Basically, any farm that automatically produces an item, especially the iron farm. That'll be so good for the iron farm. So good for the iron farm. I can automatically set up a thing for that. Next up would be the, that's going to be the next item is with a single chest and a tripwire. We are now going to get a trapped chest. Now you might be wondering, what on earth is a trapped chest? Well, I can put it down. Looks like a completely ordinary chest. Like if I were to just show the two side by side, looks completely ordinary. Nothing suspicious about it. But if I were to open it, pay attention to the side of my screen, this is now emitting a redstone signal. So opening up this item will emit a redstone signal, meaning that we can now detect when a chest is being opened. For anyone who didn't know how it used to be, for a lot of map makers, you would put a block of sand or some other falling block above the chest so it wouldn't open. So you had to break the block, and then you could put like a torch on the back of the sand, and if that got removed, then you could detect if the chest was opened or not. But now, we can just purely measure it from the chest itself. We no longer need to actually have that little sand thing happening. So that is a nice little thing to keep in mind for the future. Next up is actually two items, but I put them in the same chest because they're functionally the same item, is going to be the weighted pressure plate heavy and the weighted pressure plate light. Well, I can put down both of these and they'll function as pressure plates. However, I can walk over them and they won't go off. Now you might be wondering, oh, why is that? Well, if I were to throw on some items, they will go off. But, let's say, if I throw down a single item, that will go off, but not from a player. But if I were to throw it on this one, it does go off. Oh, I know why. Okay, sorry. I got a little confused there. That's because of how they're going to be doing a redstone thing here in a second that I need to show off, but I need to actually grab some redstone for this, because these will emit a certain actual signal depending on how many items are actually on the plate. So, for example, if I were to emit out, let's say about 15 here and throw it in a single item, it would only emit like a signal of 1. While this one, it will only emit a handful, because this needs more items to emit a larger signal, while this one needs a lighter signal to emit more. So these will emit different signals depending on the strength of the item that was thrown down. Well, the amount of items that was thrown down, not just the strength of them. Then, next up, we have some snow. In which case, if we decide to make a snow slab, we get snow, which is snow layers. So we are now capable of getting these in a non-snow biome. But most importantly, when I place these down, so standard placing, but I can stack them. Meaning that we now have customizable heights within the game. We're no longer bound by slabs in how tall we can get a block. These are now the actual determinants of height that we can get. So if we want to do some specialty heights, we use these. Also, they still melt, so be careful where you put them. So, but yeah, now these will be able to help us determine the height of certain items. So, for example, if we wanted to make an actual test to see how high I could jump, I could stack a certain number of these all the way up, and then from there I could do a little calculation on how high my actual jump height is. So that's a little thing that we could do for the actual snow layers. Then we have another 2 items, in which case what I want to do is come over here and grab this, and go over to here, put down the minecart and the hopper, and we get a minecart with a hopper. So what this is, it's like a standard hopper, but it's movable. So we are now capable of having hoppers on the move, so we can pick up items if we were willing to place down the correct rails for it. So as long as we have powered rails, these things could run forever and run around and pick up items that are around its proximity. Because if I were to throw out a single item, it's gone, but was picked up by the actual cart, so these things will just run around and pick up items. So that will be very nice for the future. Next one is a minecart with TNT. So what this is TNT on a minecart. You can probably already guess what this is like, in which case I want to go over to a little testing area. Let me grab a redstone block like this, and let's go over to the desert there. I can probably destroy something over there without ever missing it. But what the minecart with TNT does, you probably already can make a wild guess as to what this does, because if you already know about all the other minecart function things, it's going to be like minecart with a chest, minecart with furnace, minecart with hopper, and now minecart with TNT. The only one that is a bit of an oddball is the minecart with furnace, because you can't cook stuff on the move. You power it and it moves on its own. But with this, it's not an oddball one, since I didn't list it in the oddball category. I have an old mining thing over here that's hidden in the valley. Yeah, right over here. In which case, what I want to do is put this down right here. Boom. Put it down right here. And put this down right here. In which case, it activates it. That's what the activator rail does, in case anyone's curious. Blows that up, and oh, I got the redstone block back. That's nice. Boop. But I don't get the cart back, or the TNT, but I do get some sand, which is nice. So that is what the minecart with TNT does. It explodes. So we now have mobile TNT, if you want to think of it like that. Wow, this dropped a lot of sand. Spooky noise. Next up is going to be over here in the furnace. If I were to open this up, you can see I have put some netherrack in. Then, if I throw some coal in, you can begin seeing that it is cooking. So, this furnace up here is currently cooking something. So, you might be wondering, what on earth am I cooking with netherrack? Well, it's a nether brick. So, some of you can already probably make a wild guess as to what this is for. But, this now functionally means that I don't have to mine out nether fortresses in order to get all my nether bricks. I now have, you know, that massive thing of netherrack that I've been saving up for no reason other than one day I might need netherrack. Well, it is proven that I will never need netherrack. And I can use this in order to get, if I craft this up, a nether brick, a single nether brick. So the conversion isn't very good, 4 stacks of netherrack to get 1 stack of nether bricks, but honestly, what on earth are you going to use netherrack for anyways, so honestly, probably a perfectly fine conversion, really, in itself. Okay, I went adventuring in the nether for a while in order to find one of these new items, and accidentally found a nether fortress, which is interesting, because I wasn't looking for it. Classic, if you're not looking for it, you'll find it kind of scenario, but I did find what I was looking for, in which case you can see this little splotch over there, one over here, and one over here. In which case, if I go over here and pick this up, you will see it is nether quartz ore. And if I swap this out to this one over here and boop, grab that, it is nether quartz. It can be fortune, so hence why I'm using a fortune tool on it. But I can go through here and grab a little bit of this, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some here, so that way I can meet back with you guys and show you what this all does. So I'll be right back with you guys here in a second with a little demonstration of what all this stuff is. Alright, next up, I have a few things to still show off. Now that I have the quartz, there's a couple more cool things to show. Next up is going to be with each of these items in this exact crafting recipe order. Throw all of this up here, and we get a daylight sensor. In which case, as you can see, I waited for night just for this. I can put redstone coming off of this thing. Then you'll see there is no redstone, but it does connect. Like, for example, if I were to remove this, put that there, it does connect to it. Put a bed down, wait for the night to go away, then break my bed, and you'll see a redstone signal is coming off of it. In which case, the distance of the signal depends on the distance of the day. In which case, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this one just lit up. So as the day goes along, you will see that this signal goes and lights up. So that's a little thing about the redstone daylight sensor. So that's what that one is. Then we have another really cool one, in which case let me put that over to the side here, with just a single nether quartz, a bunch of stone and some torches, so very similar to the repeater crafting recipe. Put this all up here and these 3 stone. I get a redstone comparator. Now this also too looks quite similar to the actual repeater, even when it's placed down. But it has quite a bit of function. Number one, if I were to open up this chest, and if I were to put an item inside of it, you can see it lights up. So it detects anytime an item is inside of an actual chest. But that's not just chest, that's any item that can store something. So that could be, for example, if I were to come over here and put this next to the furnace, you'll see it lights up. So this will detect any item that has an item in it. So if I were to go through here and put this in, lights up. If I were to break this and put down the hopper over here, boop, and put this down right here. Oh, also another thing I want to show off about the hopper. Oh, let me get my fortune pick out of my hotbar, so that way I don't use up my durability on that kind of stuff. Grab this and put this in over here. So this doesn't light up, but if I were to put this in, it does, and it stays in. Then if I were to break this redstone block, boom, the signal goes away, and it's in here. So that is a very interesting thing we can do, redstone-wise with that. Is that still... Did I lose a dust? Oh, it's, oop, right over here. Alright, so that is what I can do with that, but it gets more complicated. So, if I were to lay out some redstone, and if I were to put one of these in here, let's add a signal of 1. But if I were to put, let's say, the minecart in here, still let's add a signal of 1. But let's see. put that whole stack in here. Still a signal of 1. Okay, I think it does it per stack then. In which case, if I put all of this baloney in here, it's still 1. More baloney required. There we go, now it's a lot further. So it determines the amount of actual items that are in the actual chest. So the more and more the chest gets filled up, the more and more signal will be outputted into the actual comparator. But you might be wondering, why is it called a comparator then? Well, because it does more than just that. It also can increase redstone signals. So if I were to grab a torch, I don't think I brought one, but I can substitute this, okay, and a redstone block, yeah, right here. Okay, so if I were to put this here, grab this, and put this here, it gets powered. Then put out all of this redstone here until it dies out. Okay, dies out right here. But if I were to put in the redstone right there, it still goes just as far, but I think this is a bad example because I need to have this distance out. It can never bypass 13, so have this go to here, in which case it doesn't light up, but if I were to break this, it does. Now, if I were to move the redstone block closer, boom, right here, and then put this right back, that will shut it off again. So this is kind of how this works. I'm showing it very badly, but yeah. This can compare signals that are going from the side, and it also has a secondary mode. So, for example, if I wanted to go through here and put this in, you can see that despite this being a signal and it's going through here, no signal is actually coming through. So there is multiple modes to do that. There's a lot of very complex things that can do with it that I'm not going to show in this episode because I could literally jammer on about this one item for the rest of the episode, but I still have a whole bunch of more items to show. It's a very complex item. Then after that, we get redstone quartz, not redstone quartz, we now get a block of quartz. So it's a nice smooth white block, which is really nice. That's the reason why I built so much of my base out of the stone slabs, because I liked the smooth texture of it. And now we have one that's also smooth on the side. So that's a nice little thing we have in the game. But it doesn't end just there. We also have, if we wanted to go through here, we have slabs for it. But if we were to put them together, it creates this little hole block on the side here as well. Then, after that, we also have stairs for it. So, already one above stone because of it. We can go through here and put in stairs. So, we can make a nice smooth white staircase, kind of like a marble staircase. Next up, a little bit more on the weird side, we get chiseled quartz. So this has a bit of an odd texture to it. So not something I don't think we would be building with in like this massive kind of bulk thing, the same as how you would do with these, because this is a nice smooth texture, so it makes for good smooth walls, while this is kind of like a more decoratory piece, I think, something you would use quite sparingly. Also, it's weirdly textured, like extremely weirdly textured. But it doesn't end just there. There is one other block to show, in which case if I put both of these in here, then right here we get pillars, which is so nice. Oh my gosh. Having a genuine pillar in the game is so cool because I've been using logs for everything. I'm not going to swap over to these or anything. I just think it's really nice that we actually get like a Greek style pillar in the game now. So we don't have to like use other logs to try to simulate these like very marble-esque kind of Greek style buildings. We actually can just do it with these. So very happy about these. Might wind up using them at some point. Just probably not in this base. This base already kind of has a style very much associated with it, so I can't really change it too much, but glad that this is in here now. Did my nether bricks ever get done smelting? Oh, I think they did. Sweet. So I got all that now. Alright, next up is going to be a couple more changes, this time with the dispenser. The dispenser now has some interesting new changes made to it, in which case I can place it up and down now. So if I wanted to ever dispense something upwards or downwards, I can just do that. I don't have to do anything too weird. I can now just do that. Next up, I can also put down a sapling here, throw some bone meal in here, and be hitting this a whole bunch, and then a tree will grow. So we are now capable of getting bone meal to work from dispensers. So that is a nice little thing that we can do now. I didn't bring an axe, so I now have to slowly punch down this tree like it's the beginning of the world, because I'm too lazy to go get an axe, because I'm in the middle of an episode, and I want to just get this tree out of the way because it's going to take forever if I go to get an axe. But now that I've shown that, there's still a couple other things that I want to do with the actual bone meal itself. If I run all the way down over here to where my wheat farm is growing, probably want to actually sleep in the bed. I don't need to sleep in the bed while I'm going through. Actually, might as well. But they made some changes to the bone meal as of recent because of this update. In which case, I believe in the patch notes, it literally says the word nerf. So that's fun. Of all the things that they've nerfed in the game, I find interesting that bone meal's the one they did that for, but I think they did because they didn't want too many people doing too many things with actual automative things. So if I were to put these seeds down and then hit bone meal, you can see that's not a full wheat plant. That's most of a wheat plant. Hit a second time, now it's fully grown. So they have made it so you have to use 2 to 3 uses of bone meal while actually planting things like wheat, trees. You can no longer just use one. You need to use multiples. So 1 bone might grow you a tree, opposed to previously where 1 bone would grow you 3 trees. So a slight disappointment, but another change that has also happened, a much more small one, but actually affects me, interestingly, is if I go all the way through here and go all the way over to the vault, hit that button, hit the button, and make my way through here. If I get to the opposite end here, you can see that they have made a change to one of the items that I am storing in my vault once I make it all the way through here. Fascinating decision for me to actually do this on camera. Why did I eat in the middle of here? That was an interesting choice on me for a second time. But once I get to the end here, almost there. Charging. They have changed the texture on locked chest. It now reads missing texture on the side of it. So that's nice. So locked chest had their texture changed for a 3rd time now. So nice and fun. So good to see that a couple episodes later, after me talking about how they missed their texture, and they now have a texture. It's just a texture that says missing texture, so pretty cool. But that should be most of the changes that happened as of this update. And as always, it went a little long, so I don't think they've released an update ever since I have, for a couple years now, since I'd be updating you guys in my videos about what the updates include. That just didn't take the whole video, so that's pretty cool. But either way, guys, that's probably going to be doing it for today's episode. There's a zombie somewhere. That is interesting. It's probably in the roof, if I'm willing to bet. But anyways, guys, that's probably going to be doing it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, if you want to see me work on anything in particular here in this world, I always have a bunch of things that I have going around. I have a whole bunch of projects I'm working on, and I hope you guys have fun with the new update. It's a bit crazy. So many technical things that were added, hence why I need to spend so much time explaining so many of it, because, oh boy, these hoppers and these comparators are going to be huge, I'm willing to imagine. Hey, it's working! Hey! Now I actually can demonstrate this. Kind of, not really. But, either way, guys, that's probably going to be doing it for today's episode. I have some cleanup to be doing, because, oh boy, did I place down a lot of stuff and not do too much with it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you have anything you want to see me work on here in the future, always be sure to let me know. That's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. See ya. So long. Bye.